Good evening and welcome to the November business meeting of the Rock Hill School District. Tonight I have the distinct pleasure of introducing Christian Woods Fair from Rawlinson Road Middle School. He is an 8th grader and he will provide the call to order tonight. Christian.
Good evening, Madam Chairman Miller, members of the board, Superintendent Cook, ladies and gentlemen of the audience. I'm Christian Woods Fair, and I am honored to represent Rawlinson Road Middle School and to bring greetings from my principal, Miss Andrews, and the faculty and staff of Rawlinson Road. Please stand with me at this time for a moment of silence and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Now for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's now my pleasure to tell you about my experience as a member of the 7th and 8th grade Rawlinson Road basketball team. The Rawlinson Road basketball team has been a wonderful experience. It's taught me to have a great work ethic and be the person I am today. Wow. The drills are very competitive. The games are a wonderful experience, and without basketball, without the Rawlinson Road basketball team, like when I'm down, it helps me to get up and be whole again, even on a bad day. I've always been taught to be a student athlete, but when you think of the word student athlete, what word comes first? Student. That's what happens. That's how I become that's how I do good in and outside of the class. When I made the basketball team, it was the best day of my life, and that's almost how it feels to be speaking in front of you guys today. Thank you for inviting me to represent Rawlinson Road Middle School. And that's it.
Well, Christian, thank you so much for those nice words. To tell you guys a little bit about Christian, he has taken advanced classes all throughout middle school. He has consistently earned Principal Scholar and an A honor roll since kindergarten. He was a member of the Raider Advisory in 6th and 7th grade and has been a member of the Junior Beta Club since 7th grade. As he described, he is an active athlete and has played basketball and football at Rawlinson Road. And in the summer of 2018, he actually served as a mayor's teen volunteer with the city of Rock Hill. He is also a member of the Rock Hill chapter of Kappa League, and he learned to speak French during elementary school. He is joined here tonight by his mother, Ms. Lanisha Woods, his baby sister, Addison. I believe Grandma is here as well, and we have some representatives from Rawlinson Road. Principal Ms. Anders, and one of the assistant principals, Ms. Knight, is here as well tonight. I know that the board probably wants to ask some questions, so I'll open it up. Ms. Cole?
First, I have to say, this is a very impressive resume.
Yes, it is.
Congratulations on all that you have done, and I know you will continue. Tell me about your experience as Mayor's Teen Volunteer.
Mayor's Teen Volunteer was a very wonderful experience. In the beginning, we were allowed to go out on a retreat, and they taught us like how to welcome when like people came in to wherever we were volunteering. They taught us like life skills, and it was cool because we got to hang out with our friends, and they gave us a little bit of free time, and the food was good too.
Ms. Reed?
the smile that you're giving us now.
Thank you.
For a moment during your presentation, you were kind of choked up. I guess that's because you were just so glad to be here. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I would like to share with you that I came with the first load of bricks when they were building Rawlinson Road Middle School. And I was a seventh grade teacher there
That's crazy.
for a long time. In fact, I was there almost 27 years altogether, I guess, when I count up, the preparation for getting there was to go to another school and another school and another school, and then I got to come to Rawlings Road. But I agree with you. It is a wonderful, wonderful experience to be able to stand and to represent the faculty, the staff, and the principal, and all of your classmates. I'm so happy to know that you are continuing along this road and that you will be continuing when you leave Rawlinson Road. You'll be a great person to have at Northwestern, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's good, because I taught students who went from Rawlinson Road to Northwestern too. I'm so proud of you, and I'm so glad to know that you have been on the honor roll, all those things that you're doing. But I would like to know, though, if you have any time just to be you, to be able to just hang out and do nothing much. Is there any downtime for you?
Not much, but I try to have free time to myself and hang out with my family.
Yes.
And because family comes first.
Yes.
And the only really downtime I get is on Sunday when I go to church.
That's good. That's a good answer. Thank you for being here, and thank you for representing Rawlinson Road in stellar fashion.
Thank you.
Ms. Douglas?
You learned how to speak French when you were in elementary school.
A little bit.
Oh, could you still remember? Because I like for you to say hello to me in French.
Bonjour.
Okay, now that you're a big 8th grader at Rawlinson Road School, I know you're looking forward to going to high school next year.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'd like for you to think a few minutes and tell your principal, what is one thing you'd like to have changed at Rawlinson Road?
I love Rawlinson Road and I love Miss Andrews. Along with, I love Miss Knight too. But the only thing that I would change is the uniforms. I am the type of person that likes to express myself, especially when I'm wearing my clothes. I understand that there are some kids that may not be able to afford the type of clothes, name brand type of clothes almost. But if I did have to change one thing, it would be the uniforms.
Okay, so what is one thing you're looking forward to going to high school? Have you thought about it?
Number one, it's way more freedom. It's way more freedom. I've been up at the high school sometimes because my dad, he's the JV coach for the basketball team. And I see them coming into practice wearing whatever they want, talking to their friends. They just look happy. I'm very happy at Rawlinson Road, don't get me wrong, but I would love to wear clothes. And Miss Andrews has done a great job of allowing us to have like more dress down days this year sometimes. But I cannot wait to go to Northwestern.
That Northwestern principal is sitting back there, so he received the message. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Hutchinson?
Yes, Christian, you did an excellent job tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
I love your atmosphere and your attitude towards school, and your academics are very impressive. But I'm just curious, what's Kappa League?
Well, Kappa League is a fraternity, and what they do is they come down and they mentor us, and they show us like how to be appropriate young men in our lifetime. And so I love going to Kappa League, especially because my mom went to college with two of the men that are over Kappa League, and it's cool because I'm like the next generation of Kappa League, or to become a Kappa.
Anyone else? Well, Christian, I think that you represented yourself, your school, and your family exceptionally well tonight. You are wise beyond your years, and you will go far. And I don't think this is the last we're going to hear of you. I probably should have mentioned that your dad, Mr. Alex Fair, is actually coaching tonight, and that's why he's not here. But he can watch it online on Facebook when he is done at Northwestern tonight. So let's all give Mr. Christian a big round of applause. Okay, the local news media was notified on November 25th of tonight's meeting. I will now entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
It has been moved by Wendy Cole and seconded by Ann Reed. Any discussion? Bearing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed? Motion passes 7-0. First up tonight is recognitions, and I will turn it over to Dr. Cook.
Christian, great job tonight, and you had a lot of high school folks, or you have a lot of high school folks in the audience who you can talk to and see how well-dressed they still are in their unique opportunities this evening. It is always a great opportunity to recognize young people and certainly folks who support our school district. So tonight I'm honored and would like for Ms. Miller, Madam Chair, to come and join me in celebrating some student success. And I'll let you hold those. And so tonight, we'd like to recognize some high school students. Last spring, high school juniors across our district were administered the WIN Ready to Work Career Readiness Assessment. This assessment measures student achievement in 3 key subjects: applied mathematics, reading for information, and locating information. Additionally, the assessments provide information about the student's skills in the following areas that play a vital role in the workplace success: cooperation with others, resolving conflict and negotiation, solving problems and making decisions, observing critically, and taking responsibility for learning. Certificates are offered in 4 levels: bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. To earn a bronze certificate, the student must score a minimum of 3 on all assessments: applied mathematics, reading for information, and locating information. For silver, a minimum of 4 is required. For gold, a minimum of 5, and platinum, a minimum of 6 is required for each assessment. Today, we are recognizing and congratulating 30 students who earned platinum certificates. That may be one of our highest numbers ever in the district. Let's give these folks a round of applause. So I'm going to call them up by high school order. So when I call your name, please come up and remain up here behind me after you've shaken Ms. Miller's hand, and she has given you one of our academic excellence pins. And parents, I'm going to go ahead and apologize up front. I know you spent a great deal of time naming your children, so I'm going to apologize if I don't get it right. My apology. Please, students, feel free to correct me when you come by. From Rock Hill High School, Grace Atkinson, Samuel Cecil, William Lewis, Christina McCarty, Haley McConnell, Christian Moody, Josh Rahaley, and Zach Walters. If those students are in the audience, please come forward. All right. Well, congratulations. Let's give her a big round of applause. Stay up here. Come here, come here, come here, come here. Come back. Come back, please. Yes. I'm going to ask your principal, Mr. Ozial. Mr. All, would you come up here, please, and take a picture with her and Miss Miller and myself? Miss Miller, let you get in there. Thank you. Congratulations. And we know this is a very busy time of year for students, and so we know that other things might have taken precedent over their evening. From Northwestern High School, Ethan Barnes, Philippe Brenola? Philip or Philippe? Philip? Nope, you're Ethan, sorry. Ryan Brown, William Carey, Hannah Conrad, Clara Godfrey, Carson Guest, Helena Hubbard, Omar Macon, Julie May, Catherine Price, Madison Sexton, Jamie Wiseman. Now, Jamie at Northwestern is spelled J-A-M-I. We have another Jamie Wiseman at another school that spells it with an E. So J-A-M-I Wiseman from Northwestern. If you'll come up, if you're here. Let's give these students a round of applause. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Congratulations. From South Point High School, excuse me, John Charles, Caitlin Jackson, Aiden Talzel, Jamie Wiseman, Grace Bell, Charlotte Applin, Ashley Deason, Patrick Hutchinson, and Tyler Boyd. Let's give these folks a round of applause. Thank you, Principal Connor.
Thank you.
If you guys will stay here, except Mr. Connor, I'm going to ask our Northwestern and Rock Hill High students if you'd come back. One team, one mission, one Rock Hill. So I'm going to ask them to come up here and be one team. And let Mr. Frost get another picture.
Just the students.
Just the students first.
You guys slide all the way over. Slide to your right.
Great picture. Parents, we congratulate you as well to have done such an amazing job with these fine young folks, and we know that our future is bright with these folks in it and leading it. Our second recognition this evening, we'd like to thank the generosity of community partner Piedmont Medical Center, and here representing them is Chief Eric Morrison. Our students enrolled in the Health Sciences program at the Applied Technology Center are now able to practice and hone their skills in an ambulance that was donated to the school. Students in Brian Smith's program will be able to use this resource to enhance their learning and preparation for health sciences fields, including the work required to earn an emergency medical responder certification. At ATC, all programs strive to make classes as realistic as possible to allow students real-world experiences while learning curriculum and techniques required for future success. Tonight, we say thank you once again to Piedmont Medical Center and Chief Eric Morrison and others who are representing Piedmont Medical Center. So we'd like to ask you guys to come forward, please. Chief, thank you again. We appreciate you so much. I'd also like to ask Ron Riveri and Chris Curtis, Director and Assistant Director, to come forward, please. Don't shake your head, Mr. Curtis. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. And finally, we'd like to recognize Dr. Luann Kokolas. Dr. Luann Kokolas is our Chief of Strategic Planning, Engagement, and Program Support for Rock Hill Schools. Recently, she stepped down after serving 6 years as a member of the South Carolina School Improvement Council's Board of Trustees. She continues to represent our schools as our district contact with SCSIC. And tonight, I welcome Mr. Tom Hudson, Executive Director of SCSIC, to share a message of thanks and appreciation to Dr. Kokolas for her service. Dr. Kokolas and Mr. Hudson, would you come forward, please? We appreciate you being here. Thank you. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Cook, and assembled family, community members, and district staff. How many School Improvement Council members do we have with us this evening? I see several. Well, at South Carolina School Improvement Council, we work with school improvement councils at over 1,100 different schools in the state and nearly 13,500 members. And what helps us do the work that we need to do in bringing parents and community and educators together to strengthen the lives of our schools, we have a state board of trustees. And this board of trustees is made up of up to 21 different individuals. And Dr. Kokolas served as one of our members of our board for the last 6 years. And we're sorry that due to term limits, she's having to step down. Perhaps maybe after a year or so, we can bring her back on the board as a retread, because we really appreciated all the insights and the ideas and the support that she brought to us. And certainly thank you here with Rock Hill Schools and your board for being so supportive of school improvement councils and what they do. And it is with great pleasure that I would like to present this plaque to Dr. Kokolas, which reads, "The South Carolina School Improvement Council gratefully acknowledges Dr. Luann Kokolas for significant contributions to civic engagement at work for public education in our state through long-standing service on the SCSIC Board of Trustees, 2012 to 2018. Dr. Kokolas, thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom.
Madam Chair, that concludes our recognitions for the evening.
For those of you who are here for the recognitions, I know that it is a busy time of year, so if anybody feels like they have a pressing engagement, this would be a great time to exit if you want to. You're more than welcome to stay. I'm sorry. We ran out of seating in the main part of the room earlier on in the evening, but as seating is opening up, for those of you who are sitting on the sides, if you would like to get a seat in front, feel free. Next up on tonight's agenda is number 3, citizen participation. Tonight we have none. So moving on to number 4, which is our consent action agenda. We have a couple of different items on here. Approval of minutes from the October 8th work session and the October 22nd business meeting. We have approval of personnel recommendations and an approval of out-of-country field study request. I will now entertain a motion to approve.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I second.
Thank you so much. It has been moved by Mr. Hutchinson and seconded by Ms. Douglas. Any discussion? Bearing none. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Great. Next up is our action agenda. If you look at our action agenda, as a group, we have items A through H, which is all E-policies. The Rock Hill School Board has been actively reviewing policies over the past 4.5 years, and this is the next set that we are looking at. I will entertain a motion to approve these as a group unless somebody would like them pulled.
I move to approve them as a group.
Okay? It has been moved by Ms. Owens and seconded
I second.
by Ms. Douglas. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next up is approval of policy IC, which is a policy dealing with our school year. We have in the past approved calendars on a yearly basis, but one of the reasons why this is being put into place is to allow for better planning practices for everybody involved, teachers, students, and all of our stakeholders. So with that said, Michael, do you have any comments you would like to share about this policy?
Madam Chairman and Dr. Superintendent Cook, appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight to present this policy. As you indicated, Ms. Miller, Policy IC deals with the school year, specifically the process by which the board approves the future year calendar. And as indicated and as reflected in the suggested policy change language, we would like to seek approval tonight of the proposed language that would allow not only the accelerated timeline to move the approval from February to December, accelerating that process by 2 months, but also allowing the ability to seek approval of more than 1 year's calendar at a time, essentially allowing us to approve 2 years out at a given time.
Do we have any questions? Hang on a second. We got lots of questions. Let's start off with, I want to say it is Ms. Owens first.
Do you have any concerns that a change in circumstance from year to year might make it difficult to commit to 2 years in a row, so that something unforeseen 2 years down the road?
Ms. Owens, that's a great question. We addressed this in a survey that we have just recently closed as it relates to the next 2 years' calendars, recognizing that state law certainly can change. And in the event a change happens, we've asked for feedback from the community. Would you like us to seek an amendment to the already approved calendar to adjust now as opposed to waiting to let the 2-year cycle play out, or leave it alone and just let it happen over 2 years before we would make any change? So while that certainly is a fair question, we can seek approval of the calendar, and should state law change, we could come back and seek an adjustment to that if law were to change to allow that. And we have language included in the proposed policy to address that specific question.
Okay, Ms. Douglas?
Okay, I was thinking about, this year the governor excused close some schools for hurricane reason and what have you. Where would we fall with that? those days be just deleted, or if that was to happen to us?
Well, I want to clarify the process when extreme weather occurs, and when a governor declares a state of emergency, which has been done the last couple of years as it relates to a flood or hurricane, the single declaration of a state of emergency is not an automatic waiver of missed school days. There is a process outlined in law that calls for the districts to make up 3 days, which is why we build in 3 days into our calendar. Beyond that, we can seek approval from the board to waive missed days 4, 5, and 6. If circumstances are such that we need to seek more than that, we can seek approval from the State Board of Education for missed school days 8, 9, and 7, 8, and 9. And then for missed days 10 plus, we can seek approval or waiver of those missed days from the state legislature. So the act of the governor in declaring a state of emergency is not a magic wand that automatically forgives days in the case that we've seen the last couple of falls.
I'm sure you've looked at other options other than Saturday, trying to do a makeup day on Saturday. I'm really concerned about that, since a lot of other activities are going on with children outside of school on those days, and families, vacations and different things.
Right.
I'm just wondering how
Right.
many would really show up on a Saturday.
Right, so while that exists in the policy, it would be essentially a last resort option, but we did not want to remove it as an available tool in an extenuating circumstance where we would need to have any day available on the calendar to use. We do schedule 3 days within the framework of the school year, and none of those are on a Saturday.
Thank you.
Mr. Hutchinson?
Yeah, on the makeup days, I noticed that the language for the 3 days that the board can waive, days 4, 5, and 6, are not in there as proposed to the current policy. It talks about whether we could do the hour or day or a Saturday, but the 3 days that we can waive as a board is not in the proposed policy.
And we can certainly look at that change. That change is in state law, not board policy.
Right.
And obviously, state policies are built on the
Right.
foundation of
Just
state
state
law,
law,
which is
it's-
referenced in the
It's still in the
footnotes.
state law part of it, and it needs to be within our policy also. Just a verbiage change, no action needed.
Anybody else? Well, I will then entertain a motion to approve on first read. Moved by Wendy Cole,
I second.
seconded by Ms. Reed. Any discussion further? All,
Just a clarification to the question from Mr. Hutchinson. The expectation would be to add the language explaining the process for seeking waiver beyond
No,
3 days?
just that the board has that option.
yes. What we're saying is, in that, right after, under makeup days, we want the verbiage, a sentence in there added to reflect that we have the authority to basically waive those additional days,
Okay,
because it's not in there.
okay.
Uh,
We can do that.
And as with any policy, this is first read only, so, it will not take effect until the board would approve it a second time. Yes,
And
ma'am?
then going back to my question, I'm sorry. You said there was language in there that allowed for an amendment to a previously proposed, or previously approved calendar in subsequent years. I don't see that language in there.
The language, if you note in the red, in the third paragraph, or technically the second paragraph, the district will not begin classes about the third day. The law, the potential area that would change in state law is representative of the start date, which then has the ripple effect of the rest of the school year. So unless allowed by state law, that clause that's added would allow us to then come back. If that changes, we can then already have the policy that allows us to adjust it and then ask you for approval of that change. But right now, state law says you cannot start prior to the third Monday. And that presents all kinds of challenges to secondary schools, specifically high school, as it relates to the completion of first semester prior to the winter holidays. And so we're trying to petition the state through the legislative process. It is our understanding that there will be several bills, once again, that will make their way through the process that hopefully will adjust the start date to either a designated date or a full week or nothing. And so we wanted our policy change to reflect a future change in state law without then having to change our policy again.
Any further discussion? Bearing none, all those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Motion passes 7-0. And as I mentioned before, this is first read. It will be up again for second read in December. Moving on to item J, which is approval of December combined board meeting. Dr. Cook.
Madam Chair and other board members, the last 2 years, the district has had one meeting in December and may have even gone back further than that. What we're asking you to consider is having a combined work session and business session in December. And that meeting would begin at at 6 o'clock on December the 10th. And would be a combined meeting, and we would do that combined meeting if we have the need to have any action items. So we ask you to consider just that one meeting.
And I do believe that this has been something that has been going on for a lot longer than 2 years. So I'll entertain a motion to approve. I believe that was Ms. Douglas, seconded by
Second.
Ms. Reed. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Raise your hand. All those opposed? Motion passes 7-0. So the next item is approval of board retreat date. As you remember from our work session, we are going to have a retreat this spring. And everybody on the board got a survey with some dates that was whatever you thought was the best one. The dates that were sent out was January 15th, 17th, and 22nd. It seemed like the overwhelming majority said that the 17th is the target date. But I'm going to ask for a postponement of this motion until the December meeting, because we have not yet received confirmation from Scott Price with the School Boards Association for that date, so we really don't have a date to approve. So what I'm asking for is I will entertain a motion for a postponement of this agenda item until the December meeting.
I move.
A second.
I think Brent beat you. So it's been moved by Ms. Owens and seconded by Mr. Falconberry. Do we have any discussion? The only thing I can say is that as soon as this confirmation has been given from the School Boards Association, this will be communicated out for your personal calendars. You know that the 17th would be the target date, although it's not confirmed. So bearing no further discussion, all those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Motion passes 7-0. So the last item on our consent or action agenda would be the approval of the National School Board Conference attendees. As you all know, per policy BID, any out-of-state travel has to be, for board members, has to be approved by the board as a whole. We started a couple of years ago with sending a few representatives, because it is an expense obviously involved, to the national meeting. I guess the conversation now is who has not been and who would like to go.
So we're gonna send up to 2.
Yes.
Ms. Cole and I went last year, and Ms. Douglas, you and the chairman went the year
Jim
before.
and I went the year before.
Yeah.
Year before.
Went the year before.
So-
I'd like to go.
Ms. Reed would like to go?
Yes.
So it's open. Somebody want to go to Philadelphia? That's where it's at, March 30th.
Well, I'd like to go if nobody else would like to go.
I think you should.
So, at that point, I will entertain a motion for Ms. Reed and myself to attend the conference.
Madam Chair, make a motion that we approve sending you and Ms. Reed to the National School Board Conference in March through April 1st of next year in Philadelphia.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Cole. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. No, well, we shouldn't, yes.
And we'll note that we walked out of there twice with awards for our cyber technology.
Yes, we
So
have.
maybe we'll get a third shot.
All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0 with Reed and Miller abstaining. Okay. Next up on our agenda tonight is communications. Our first guest is Miss Amanda Haskins with the Rock Hill Schools Education Foundation, here to talk a little bit about Giving Tuesday.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Madam Chairman and Superintendent Cook, for allowing me to be here tonight to speak with you guys and to speak on behalf of the Rock Hill Schools Education Foundation. I'd like specifically to thank each of you as board members and as our superintendent for being personal supporters of the Rock Hill Schools Education Foundation for many, many years, and we appreciate you all for that, for your continued personal support. And I would also like to thank the hundreds of school district employees and teachers who gave to the foundation this year as well. A great investment in students and teachers through our foundation. I'm here today to tell you guys all about Giving Tuesday. Giving Tuesday is a global day of giving, fueled by the power of social media and collaboration. Celebrated on the Tuesday following Thanksgiving and shopping events Black Friday and Cyber Monday, which I'm sure you all were involved in the last few days. Giving Tuesday kicks off the charitable season when many focus on their holiday and end-of-year giving. Giving Tuesday is tomorrow, November 28th. We encourage you from the foundation to get involved in Giving Tuesday by supporting our district's nonprofit, the Rock Hill Schools Education Foundation. We have a couple of great ways that each of you can get involved tomorrow on Giving Tuesday. Number one, we've partnered with Outback Steakhouse tomorrow for the York County, South Carolina Gives Dine Out, Do Good initiative. That's a mouthful. Grab an awesome meal at Outback during lunch or dinner tomorrow and mention the foundation, and a portion of your sales will be given back to the foundation to students and teachers in Rock Hill Schools. We want to thank Jeff Brown at Outback for being a continuous supporter of education in Rock Hill. The second way is to make your dollars count twice tomorrow when you raise money through a Facebook fundraiser. Tomorrow morning, beginning at 8 a.m., Facebook and PayPal have pledged to match $7 million worldwide to fundraisers through Facebook. That means if you give $25, you're actually giving $50. If you give $100, you're actually giving $200. If you're giving $1,000, you're actually giving $2,000. So we want to give you the opportunity to put your money to work tomorrow with a Facebook fundraiser for the Rock Hill Schools Education Foundation. And then number three, everybody get out your phones. Yeah, like right now, get out your phones. You too, community members that are watching online, go ahead and get out your phones. And in the number line, put the number 444-999 and text the word SCHOOL, SCHOOL. That's the easiest way for you to make a personal investment to students and teachers through the programs of the foundation today or tomorrow. You can also do that online at rhsdfoundation.org. At the Rock Hill Schools Education Foundation, we believe in the teachers and in the students of Rock Hill Schools. We believe in teachers, so we put money into the classrooms through the sponsorship of innovative grants in classrooms all across the district. We believe in students, so we put food and backpacks for hungry students to be nourished over the weekend through our Back the Pack program sponsorship. We want those students to be ready to learn on Monday mornings. So tomorrow, Giving Tuesday, be a part of the Global Day of Giving by investing in students and teachers through the Rock Hill Schools Education Foundation. Thank you guys for your time this evening.
Thank you so much, Ms. Haskell. Our second item on communications is Ms. Kim Givens, who is representing a group of bus drivers. Welcome up, Ms. Givens.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairman, Dr. Cook, and all members of the board. My name is Kimberly Givens, and I'm a bus driver for Rock Hill Schools. I'm also a member of the TCB, which is the Transportation Committee Board that is formed of drivers. And this is our chairperson of the board, Lena Talfer. We're here tonight in request for a pay change from once a month to twice a month. When the change happened a year ago, the drivers and aides was not in agreement with the once a month pay. Through the year, when it started, we was told, to give it a year. During that process, a lot of hardships has taken place amongst the drivers, and resulting in some of the drivers not being able to make ends meet. And some of the examples were, we have some of the employees are missing work, trying to seek financial help through the outside community to pay rent, to keep from being evicted. We have employee and spouse that had to make a decision between car repossession and having money to pay for medical bills. We've also had several, I'm just naming a few. We have had an employee that chooses to fast during the week so they would have food for their families during the week. We've also had an employee come to us that stated that they didn't have enough money to replace their heating and air conditioning over this past summer, that they went without air conditioning because they didn't have the money to fix the problem, and they are trying to figure out how they're going to keep their families warm this winter. So through the process, we listen to the drivers and the aides when they come before us with their concerns. We, as a board, come together to try to see what we can do to help them. In the process, we've brought in banks to try to see if that could help with the budgeting. That was not a success. Some of the drivers that went before told us that the bank basically told them that was not really much they could do to help them. So then we went to our director, Mr. Gill, and we asked him, what was the other process we could do. And so we called to see about getting on the agenda to come to speak with you guys. We found out there was a process to go through. We went through the grievance process. We met with the drivers, and we filled out the grievance process, and through that, we got majority of the drivers on the lot to support. In the grievance, there are quite a few names, about maybe 89 total, that signed it. However, we want to be clear, the majority of the names on here are drivers that are in support for the drivers that are really having a hard time. We do have a portion of drivers that did not sign, that they do not agree. But majority of the lot does agree and would like to get this pay reversed to twice a month year-round instead of once a month year-round. During the grievance process, we met on three different occasions with the district, and the end result to that was that the district told us that they could not make the decision to change the pay from once a month to twice a month, that we had to come before you guys. so which is why we're here tonight. We also wanted you guys to know that we, as a group, we appreciate all the raises and incentives that you guys have given us thus far. But we would like, you know, we would like you guys to hear our plea that as drivers and aides, we don't make enough money to be salary employees, to be paid once a month. And this has caused a tremendous hardship on our department, and we're trying to do what we can to help our fellow coworkers to try to be able to make ends meet. There's a lot of us that we come to work every day. We enjoy our jobs. We enjoy what we do. We just want to be able to maintain our households. At the same time, we would like, when we spoke with finance, we wanted to let it be, in the process of it being twice a month, we would like one of the days to remain on the 25th, and just add, since we've already, the whole district gets paid on the 25th, if that's doable, we would just like to be added another pay date in the month, but still year round. And again, everyone agrees to the year-round pay, and everyone is grateful for all the raises that we've received. The main thing was that when we went before the district, we was not when they decided to change it, we was not given the option to vote on it or have the decision. We were told that we were going to once a month pay, and everyone had to sign a mandatory letter of the pay change. And this kind of threw a little uproar, but at the same time, we were instructed to give it a year, and we've done that. So we're here tonight to ask you guys and deplete our request to get it to twice a month, year round. Do you guys have any questions for us?
So, thank you so much, Ms. Givens, and I'm sorry I didn't catch your name.
Lena?
For being here tonight. We appreciate your comments. When you are part of the citizens or the community section, you know, this is not something that we would take up tonight, but we will certainly take it into consideration for future board meetings. And that's something we can discuss as a board at the end of the meeting. But thank you so much for being here, and thank you for what you do.
Thank you, and thank you guys.
Okay. I believe we have come to, give me 1 second. Sometimes technology is great, sometimes it's not. Here we go. Our next section for tonight is section number 7, which is the report of the superintendent.
Madam Chair, thank you. At this time, I'd like to call Dr. Wilkes, Serena Williams, and others who might be part of the team to come forward. I want to, as they're coming forward, to share with you that as you see many of our students who are sitting before you this evening, students who've sat and recognized this evening as well, that those students who enter our schools in pre-K and kindergarten all the way through 12th grade, many need additional support in order to make that progression through. And so I've asked Dr. Wilkes and team to share the many support services that we put into place. You as a Board of Trustees have supported over the years the work that has been done by our graduation coaches, our workers in various fields of this support. And so tonight we'd like to have a highlight and summary of that. You have in your packets a PowerPoint that was previously shared with you. So we certainly won't pretend to read that to you this evening, but want to highlight some of the opportunities that students need and that we as a district and you as a board have supported and want to continue to provide moving forward. So Dr. Wilkes, thank you, and Ms. Williams for presenting on behalf.
Good evening. We appreciate the opportunity to come before you this evening to let you know some of the things that Student Support Services provides to our district and to our families. Tonight, you're going to hear from actually the entire team, and I will allow them to introduce themselves in just a moment. but student support services includes my office as well as Ms. Williams. Inside of my office, we do quite a few things that people don't realize. This past year, we completed over 1,150 transfer requests within the district, over 371 attendance affidavits, where those were sit-down meetings with families throughout the year. There are a lot of things that are done, and we wanted to make sure that the board, as well as our community, is aware and that they know where to contact if there are issues that they're having. What I'm going to do now is allow Ms. Williams to come forward. There are a few things that she would like to speak to you on, and a couple of surprises that you may be in for.
Thank you, Dr. Wilkes. Good evening, Ms. Miller, Dr. Cook, and our board. Thank you so much for allowing us to come before you with an annual update. I'd like to take a moment just to introduce our entire team. We have a few new members that have come aboard this year. First, I will begin with our district family outreach coordinators, Serena Walker, Della Barrett, and Monisa Hogg. Della Barrett is new with us this year. She joined us from the Rock Hill Head Start program. We needed some early childhood expertise on the team, and Della came on over, so we're delighted to have them on our family outreach side of the team. And we also have 3 phenomenal graduation coaches that work in our high schools. Shayna Hope is our coach at Northwestern High. Keely Blake is our coach at South Point. And Tony Watkins is new to us. He came over from Sylvia Circle to the high school side of life at Rock Hill High. As Dr. Wilkes shared, we are so grateful for the district and board's continued commitment to providing support services for all students, but particularly those who, those vulnerable subgroups that need extra support. We're here to talk about those groups tonight and the types of supports that we're providing for them. First, I'm going to start with the program that most people know about. We're delighted as a team to serve as the background stewards for Rock Hill's commitment to fighting childhood hunger through Back the Pack. The program is sponsored by the Rock Hill Schools Education Foundation, which Ms. Haskins described tonight, and we are so grateful for the foundation's partnership, not just their partnership, but the board has really taken ownership in serving as our champions in the community and ensuring that we have adequate financial and human capital to ensure that this program continues for students. So thank you to our board for that. We have recently become an agency partner with Second Harvest Food Bank of the Metrolina, which gives us a lot of different things. We're able to now provide meals, less snacks for students, and we have unlimited possibilities to grow the program from where we are right now to serve more students. I'd like to thank the Communications Department for recently capturing our 10-year anniversary celebration. Aaron Sheffield has produced an amazing video that I'd like to share with you right now. And again, thank you to our communications department for producing that extraordinary video. I'm not going to go through every bullet in your packet, just want to share a few highlights with you regarding an overview of all of the support services that we have been providing. As you can see, we've been busy. Our family outreach coordinators accept referrals from elementary and middle schools for families that may need a variety of support, including completion of social histories, which serves as the initial clinical assessment for the exceptional education department when students are referred for screening for testing. Our team handles that initial screening. We extend community agency referrals to families experiencing crisis or those that may need assistance from local agencies. And you'll hear a story in just a moment. We have to steward some of our families for an extended amount of time based on what the circumstances may be. And all interventions are in place to ensure that we're doing what we can to remove barriers that prohibit student achievement in the classroom. Okay. We work to ensure school stability for students experiencing homelessness. We're removing the barriers that prohibit enrollment from students that can't produce proof of residency or those that may be chronically transient due to not being able to afford rent. And I included some information in your packet as to why we're seeing an uptick of numbers of students that can't afford to remain in the same residence for a year. This year, due to the Every Student Succeeds Act and mandates that have been placed on districts all over the country, we're providing more training and technical assistance for our front office staff, guidance personnel, and other key groups within the district, including our bus drivers, on how to handle situations involving our students who are placed into foster care and who are experiencing homelessness. And not just, since we just heard from our bus drivers, I really want to commend them. They go above and beyond to take care of our vulnerable children. We have, I believe, 45 students on homeless shuttles right now, and our bus drivers do everything that they can to ensure those kids are there every morning on time, eat breakfast, and they're stewarded when they go home. So we have some amazing employees stewarding our children that need it the most. We work with agencies to coordinate partnership services to maximize all of our resources. I already shared one of our major concerns that we deal with on a day-to-day basis is managing issues due to the high volume of transient living that we had in our community. And because of that, we're continuously challenged with keeping students enrolled in one school for one academic year. Last year, federal foster care legislation changed, which now mandates school stability and joint decision-making for students in care. And the process is very complicated, but we're working hard with our local social service agencies and families to ensure that our students have the most appropriate placement upon arrival. During our efforts to learn how to comply with these new mandates, we've learned that York County has one of the largest areas in the state with licensed foster homes. A local nonprofit, Fostering the Family, is currently actively working in the community with local ministries to encourage fostering. Our goal this year is to pursue a partnership with that organization so that we know how to work directly with families that are fostering so we can ensure their educational best interests upon arrival. We've also in your packet included information about our community resource guide, which is a document that we manage. It includes a comprehensive list of area resources that are categorized into 16 different categories. We often refer to this guide on a daily basis when working with students and families. The guide is available for download on our website, and we also make it available translated into Spanish. At this time, I'd like to ask Serena Walker, one of our family outreach coordinators, to come forward to share a story with you.
I'm nervous. I do not like talking in front of a bunch of people, so forgive me. Okay, so this is just an example of a type of crisis that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. I'm a little nervous. Okay, so when we receive referrals from McKinney-Vento, which is homeless students, we try to meet the immediate need of that family and identify any other barriers that they may need at that time. So the following referral I received on back in October, it was a McKinney-Vento identification, and the father needed transportation. They just moved to Salvation Army shelter. So I called the father to discuss transportation needs, and I found out the following. Single father of 5 children, 1 middle school student, 3 elementary kids, and a 17-month-old daughter. They moved here from North Carolina because his wife passed away in August. He doubled up with a family member here in Rock Hill, and it didn't work out. So they got shelter at Salvation Army. I set up the transportation for the children because that was his immediate need. That's all he cared about, was getting them to school. I notified the school, notified food services to make sure that they were on free lunch and free breakfast. And then I sat down with the dad and talked about possible other needs he may have. We discussed affordable housing here in Rock Hill, food assistance, clothing, shoes, medical care, counseling services, and Medicaid assistance. The dad talked to me about needing to return back to work, but he couldn't because he had a 17-month-old daughter. So I helped him with completing a McKinney-Vento child care voucher. I helped him complete that. I sent that to where it needed to go, and I was able to get him approval in 2 hours for child care for his 17-month-old daughter and for his 3 elementary students for after-school program. And they were able to start the next day. That was a big relief off his shoulders that he didn't know he could ask for. And he wouldn't have known if I wouldn't have to take the time to sit down with him, because all he needed at the time was transportation to get his kids to school. That's just one of the many ways that our department helps walk alongside families that are experiencing an unexpected crisis, a loss, a crisis for an extended period of time, to ensure that school support services and community resources are available to the students. Thank you.
As you can see, well, it's loud. As you can see, our family outreach coordinators, and this is one of many stories, that things that happen behind the scenes that people are not aware of. Our graduation coaches face very similar struggles, but you're looking at a older population. I work probably more closely with them with high school students that are looking to be completers. And when we look at completers being either through high school, through adult ed, and there are a lot of other obstacles, and we're going to have another story in just a moment about some of the obstacles that our teenagers, once they get to 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, that they face, that's actually behind the scenes that a lot of people don't realize. Mr. Tony Watkins is at Rock Hill High School and has hit the ground running. And he has done a phenomenal job in the first several months that he's been there. And we're going to ask him to come forth and share a story of a student that he's worked with just recently here through Rock Hill High School.
Good evening, Dr. Cook, Ms. Miller, and board staff. I'm going to talk about one of the outside factors, one of the barriers that many of the students really don't know of being a regular student. The student I'm about to talk about, I got to get right. He touches my heart every morning because he comes up the hallway singing every morning. And prior to me knowing him or assisting him with his barrier, I never paid his singing any attention. I had to ask one of the staff members, does he do that every morning? And he was like, yeah. So I had never heard him singing before outside of me helping him. So however, a turn of events happened. He missed a few consecutive amount of days in school, and it was brought to my attention. So I had to go and do some research on him, seeing why he was missing school. And it was brought to my attention from another homeless student that I was dealing with to that prior week that he was living in the woods for 3 or 4 days. And that's the reason why he hadn't been at school. And I was like, wow, you homeless, he homeless. So at this point, I'm like, what do we need to do? So the other homeless student, I hate to keep calling him a homeless student, but I don't want to reveal any names, but the homeless student told me that he was at this particular location off of Celanese Road behind some restaurants, sleeping in the woods. So I got in my car, staff that morning, went out looking for him. I got there behind the location, yelling his name out, probably about 5 to 10 minutes. And this one guy came out of the shop, and then he was like, who are you looking for? And I'm like, I gave him the description of the guy I was looking for. And he told me, well, that particular guy was over here. He was sleeping on the grease pit of the Chinese restaurant this morning. I think the owner let him come in the restaurant. So at this particular time, I was about to leave. I went in the front of the restaurant and went in the restaurant, and that's where he was at. He was sitting in the restaurant over there. You know, he was sad, talking. So he didn't know who I was. I never met this student. He never knew me. So I got to him, start talking. We processed. You know, I'm trying to encourage him. And the only thing he was talking about was he wanted to graduate. And then he broke out, started crying. And I'm like, you know, we're going to get this. We're going to make it through. So at this time, I encouraged him enough to feel comfortable with me to get back in the car. And we drove back to the school. And he got a shower down at the gym, got him something to eat. And at this particular time, I had other staff members. You know, we was working on a plan as far as where he was going to live at that night. So we went through the resources, and the resources were very limited. And we came up with the Haven. That's a shelter for young men. But he had another obstacle. He didn't have an authority figure to escort him to that facility. So that wasn't the appropriate resource for him at that particular time. So this was particularly happening it was 9 o'clock that morning. We worked all the way up into probably 9 or 10 o'clock at night to try to find this guy a place to stay. And it came to me, I had this particular friend that owned the hotel off of Cherry Road, and I gave him a call, and he said, sure. I explained the story to him. He said, sure, bring this young man over. Have no problems. So I called the guy on the phone, my homeless singing student, what I call him, called him on the phone, told him I had him a place to stay for the night, and called him a cab, and the cab took him to the location, and this young man, he stayed the night there. And we worked through the next day. I talked with one of his friends' mother. I got her to commit to him staying with them. So he's doubled up with them right now. And all he's talking about is finishing schools. He's on track to finish school right now. And from that particular day, he hadn't missed a school day since I found him. And he wrote an encouraging note. I found this out like a week later. He wrote staff at the hotel. He wrote a note, you know, saying that he appreciated the help that he was getting, and he just wanted to graduate school, and you know, he was on track to graduation, and that's all he wanted to do. But that's just one of the stories. I have many from, some that's heartbreaking, and some that, you know, pretty much don't make sense. But, you know, these barriers that a lot of students and a lot of us don't see. I mean, you come to school and you don't realize what's going on. You want to come to school and expect to get an education, come to eat, a recess, or whatever and play. But these other students, some of these guys that's got these outside barriers that we don't see, you know, that's them life-changing problems for us, you know. So it's very much need for some assistance for these particular students. So that's one of the stories. So that's pretty much it. Thanks.
Thank you. Do you all have any questions for us? Yes, ma'am.
I know we have backup camp on the weekend. Is there a program for students during the summer? I know at one time the county council did the lunches. So is there anything for the students once they leave school for the 2.5 months that they're at home?
That's a great question, Ms. Douglas. We do our best to keep abreast of organizations in the community that provide food and other basic needs resources, and we include that information in our resource guide and refer to it as needed. There is a local nonprofit, I cannot recall the name right now off the top of my head, that has assumed, from what I understand, a local nonprofit that has assumed the responsibility of administering the county summer feeding program, and we do refer students to the sites that are provided. But yes, ma'am, there is an effort.
Well, Ms. Williams,
Yes,
thank
ma'am.
you so much for the
Thank you.
report tonight, and to all of you who presented tonight. Obviously, some of the information we hear is heartbreaking. But I will also say that this is part of the one mission, one team, and one Rock Hill. We are all in this together. These are the babies that enter our classrooms every single day. So if you didn't need a reason before, tomorrow is Giving Tuesday. I am going to, and I encourage everybody else to find it in their hearts to support either the Rock Hill Schools Education Foundation that feeds kids through Back the Pack, or find one of the other local agencies that are in here and are being mentioned and that are in the board packet that do help these kids and these families. Because again, we're one Rock Hill, we're all in this together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I too want to say thank you to our Student Support Services team. Each one of you are so valuable, and we appreciate what you shared this evening. We appreciate what you do and look forward to continuing the work that you have done and will continue to do. I also want to say a thank you to this board who committed to each of our students by setting a goal that every one of our staff members in our district be trained through ACEs. And then what do we do therefore after we've identified? And so we're working on that. So I really appreciate the support this board continues to provide as well. So thank you. Thank you. Additional announcements I'd like to share with the board and with our audience and those who are listening as well. Safety and security. As you know, safety and security is the #1 priority for our students, staff, and families. Tomorrow, November 27th at 6 p.m. at Sullivan Middle School, we will be hosting a school safety summit in partnership with law enforcement partners, Rock Hill Police Department and York County Sheriff's Office. We look forward to further discussion that can lead to action with respect to how we as a community can continue to keep our schools safe. And I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to recognize those scouts before they had a chance to leave, but just to say thank you. We appreciate you being part of our meeting this evening. In addition, on Thursday, December 6th at 6 p.m., the first school choice fair will be held at the Rock Hill Schools Central Office, 386 East Black Street. Parents are invited to visit and learn more about choice programs available to students in Rock Hill schools. Representatives from each choice program will be available to provide information and answer questions. Additionally, computers will be available at the event so you can complete the choice application. There will be a second opportunity for parents to learn about choice programs as well as the traditional programs on Saturday, January 12th at 10 a.m. at the Choice Fair and District College and Career Expo that will be held at South Point High School at 801 Neely Road. On Tuesday, December 4th at 6 p.m., we invite parents and members of the Rock Hill community to attend our second Community Listen and Learn at Northwestern High School, 2503 West Main Street. A third and final session is scheduled for Thursday, December 13th at 6 p.m. at South Point High School, 801 Neely Road. At each session, I'm interested in learning from you, our parents and community stakeholders, and invite you to join and provide feedback during our upcoming 60-minute session. We look forward to meeting parents and community members at these upcoming feedback opportunities. District leaders recently hosted the third Teacher Listen and Learn informational session for teachers from across the district. This series of meetings is providing a rich opportunity to engage in dialogue with teachers about celebrations, issues, and concerns for our school district. An emphasis for this session focused on exceptional student education teachers and brainstorming strategies to address their concerns. District Calendar Committee, as you've heard in the earlier presentation this evening, the District Calendar Committee has been working to develop draft calendars for the next 2 school years. The committee, which is comprised of students, teachers, parents, and administrators representing all schools in our district, has reviewed survey feedback and has made a recommendation to district staff that will be presented at the December Board of Trustees meeting. On Friday morning, December 7th, school-level teachers of the year will come together for the second teacher forum meeting of the school year. Co-chairs Susan Snyder of Northwestern High and Melissa Tucker of Rock Hill High, along with district leadership, look forward to working together with this group of teacher leaders. I'd also like to take this time to say a thank you to Melissa Tucker, who is our current district teacher of the year, who is representing that group here tonight at our board meeting, and we look forward to representatives from that group attending board meetings in the future. So thank you, Melissa, for being here and representing that group. On Friday morning, December 7th, student leaders from each high school, the Applied Technology Center, and Phoenix Academy will come together for the second Superintendent Student Advisory Council meeting of the school year. It is a joy to work directly with our students to address their concerns and those that are important to them. On Thursday, December 6th, representatives on the District Athletic Advisory Council will travel to T.L. Hanna High School in Anderson to learn more about how their school and community have raised capital funds to improve and grow athletic facilities and opportunities for their students. After an action-packed summer, the Build on the Rock website has been updated with photos. You're encouraged to visit the district's capital building program, Build on the Rock. Thank you. Build on. Wake up back there. Can we turn that? Thank you. Good. Build on the Rock website, I don't know if my arm was long enough to reach back that far. Build on the Rock website, www.rock-hill.k12.sc.us/Build on the Rock for more information. This website provides status updates on active and planned construction projects in the district. On the page, viewers can see project descriptions, before and after photographs, and construction timelines. The school board will meet next on Monday, December 10th for a combined work session and business meeting. The meeting will begin, provided it's approved, the meeting will begin at 6 p.m. Following the winter holiday break, the next work session meeting will be Monday, January 14th. Meetings are streamed on our website and available for viewing on demand immediately following the broadcast. We invite our community to watch meetings live on our Facebook broadcast at facebook.com/Rock Hill Schools. Coming soon, you will be able to watch our meetings and other video stories on our Roku and Apple TV channels. This concludes our announcements for this evening, Chairman.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Cook. Now to number 8 on our agenda for the evening, which is the review of the school board work session from November 12th. At its work session on November 12th, 2018, held here at the central office, the board swore in newly elected and re-elected board members, elected officers, heard from the Evanport Elementary School Improvement Council, held its monthly data session, reviewed second set of Section E policies for first read, received an out-of-country field study request, Northwestern High School to Scotland, discussed the December board meeting, discussed possible board retreat dates, received an update on the strategic planning process, discussed delegate certification, and discussed other and future business. Moving on to number 9, other and future business. So we have put community visits on here. A few years back, the board decided to do community visits, rotating amongst the schools in the district. As an elected school board member, one of your responsibilities is that you have to visit each one of the schools in the district during each calendar year. And this was done in an attempt to make that process easier for the board members, as well as giving the public an easy way to visit our schools and learn all what they are about and so forth. And towards the end of last year, we kind of discontinued the process. But I think we need to revisit it again because it does make it a lot easier for us as board members to have an opportunity to go to schools. And it's also a nice way for the community to be part of our education community. And we've always had visitors from other organizations and other people in the community attend these meetings. I know that some of the concerns or comments that were brought up last time was that they tend to kind of be the same over and over. So one of the things that we may want to consider is having community visits, but do them a little bit differently and leave it up to the individual schools, how they want to handle it and how they want to invite us as board members, whether it is in a more formal version that has been done or if it's inviting us to something specific that they have going on their school or at their school. But I'd like to hear what everybody else has to say about it and go from there. So, Mr. Falkenberry?
Well, from being on the foundation, I've attended a lot of those over the years as well. The main concern I have, I mean, I think it's beneficial to have those type of visits, but the big concern is the pressure and the extra workload that it puts on the administrators to pull together a program to kind of highlight their school. So to me, you know, I think it's a better idea to maybe have a more published calendar showing us all the opportunities to go and see something they're already doing. Because although it's easier for us to say, well, we're going to go to these 3 schools on Friday afternoon, it's not always easier for the teachers or for the staff.
Ms. Cole?
The nice thing about going in a group and visiting, 3 schools at a time like we did is having that opportunity going into the classrooms and observing some of what's going on. I don't need the principal to give me a, presentation or anything. I like the opportunity of knowing that there's times that we can go and visit some of the classrooms. We had talked the other day about having a schedule and of different, when there's performances and all of that, and I definitely want to know when those things are going on and opportunities to visit the schools, but to be able to know that there are days that we can go and observe in the classroom.
Thank you. I'd like to continue with the format similar to the ones we had this year and the year before. When I look at the schedule, I know that I'm going to be going to here, and here. When I get to the school, they have student ambassadors have a chance to take us around and talk and answer questions, and that's a way to help them interact with people in the community. And I'm hoping that the principal of the schools are not inconvenienced so much that they have to feel pressured because we come. I'd like to have them welcome us to come and have the students who are ambassadors be glad to show us around. And we don't stay there long, usually within an hour. to have us come once a year, I think it's a good opportunity, and hopefully we'll be able to continue.
And they don't need to provide breakfast and all that
Don't
kind
need a
of
doctor
things that some of them do.
Ms. Douglas?
I would just like to say, I like the method that we've been doing, but I also like the method, when I first came on the board, I just called the district office and told 3 schools I'd like to visit, and okay with the principals, and I went on my own and told the principal that, nice seeing you, and I'll say goodbye when I leave. And, you know, some of them would invite me to come on back into the office, but just going to visit the classrooms and see the different activities, as well as I learned things too, because my style of teaching was different than it is today. So I would like either one of them, but I really would like for us to continue to do visitation one way or the other, not just going to programs. I go to programs too, but I'd like to be able to go in the classroom and everything and see the hands-on.
And I don't think that the two are mutually exclusive. You know, we always have the opportunity to call and schedule appointments if we want to visit a specific school. But I think that the more organized fashion is a lot easier on both staff as it is on us as board members and on district employees. I do hear what Mr. Falkenberry is saying, and I think it's very important to stress that when we come as a board, you know, we don't need breakfast. We don't need anything special. We're not there to inspect. We're not there in that manner. You know, we just want to visit the building and see some kids in a classroom, you know. And as long as that's communicated and made sure that it's not too organized or taken too much out of their individual time that day, you know, I think that's important to stress to all of the schools. But I agree with Ms. Douglas and Ms. Reed and Ms. Cole that you know, I do think we need to continue them in some fashion. And I think we need to maybe have a conversation with our principals, because, you know, it may be that in the past we've had a certain set day, and maybe that day doesn't work across the district. Maybe Mondays are better at a certain school, while Wednesdays is something that's more convenient at other schools. So I think we need to start the process which kind of polling the principals and see what would work for them, but get this started. That's my take on it.
Madam Chair, if I may, for the purposes for our new board members, probably 6 weeks ago, the request was made that we get principal feedback for that. Our principals very much appreciate and want board members in their schools, and the opportunity to certainly showcase and highlight, and for you to see all the great things that are happening. And several suggestions were made. If it is agreeable with the board, we can work with the principals to identify 3 to 4 minimally activities, events that are taking place at the schools that board members could choose from that would best meet their calendar needs. In addition to, if board members want to specifically go to a school, we can certainly work that out, as has been in the past, but we can create a calendar for you and let you pick and choose. And certainly if it's not a time on there for you, then we can certainly work outside that time frame. But if we provided that to all board members, a calendar that principals have had some voice and choice in, you have some voice and choice in, would that be agreeable to you?
I think everybody's nodding, right? Any further comments on this?
I just have one, and that's to allow us to continue to operate within the law, I guess, is what I'm going to say, because that's one of the things that we have to do. And if you have it at one time, when maybe you can have 7 people come, that will save you from having to have several individual people come and set up another. You know, I'm just curious to find out if that's something that makes sense to anybody
It really does, because, you know, we're talking about disruption to the learning environment and so forth. And obviously, if you get all 7 of us at once, that's much less disruptive than having 7 board members show up at different times during the year. Because
Yes.
as much as attending programs and things like that is important, I don't believe that that actually satisfied the legal requirement of visiting schools, you know. So,
I was curious as to what the teachers of the year at each school would think about that, what their input is on it. Just to,
yes.
Well, in my experience, I like having anybody in my classroom. Mr. Hall can tell you, I'm not gonna, like, if I'm doing something that I need to tweak, I love getting feedback, and if I'm doing something that somebody finds interesting, I like to be able to share. I actually have to give a shout out to Ms. Reed, because when the school board visited a few years ago, the classroom that I inherited had.
Ms.
broken
Tucker,
blinds.
for purposes of the audience, could you step to the microphone and speak there, please? Thank you.
And this is our district teacher of the year, by the way.
yeah.
Okay. I was just going to give a shout out to Ms. Reed, because when the school board visited my classroom a few years ago, the room that I moved into had broken blinds. And I was actually showing a clip of something before we discussed it. And she said, "How are they supposed to see your," I said, "Well, I kind of try to turn it." She goes, "No, that's unacceptable." And I had new blinds within a week. So it was kind of interesting, because, you know, she was not pleased that we were watching a clip that the kids couldn't get everything out of. But no, I like having, I don't mind. I like the fact that I know that it can be difficult sometimes to find those student ambassadors, because I know our teacher cadets class kind of gets used to it, but they have other requirements that they need to do. So as a former Beta Club sponsor, I know that there's different outlets that we can use for student ambassadors. But, you know, I like having visitors. I don't mind.
Thanks, Ms. Tucker. 2 clarifying points I do want to make to Ms. Reed's point. Ms. Reed, these events would be events that are already taking place in the school that would be selected as opportunities for board members to visit. And I would just remind the board that the reason we had that conversation to begin with about community visits was your concern that you were the only one showing up during those visits, and so it was becoming more about board visits as opposed to other community visits. So that was, I think, part of that reason. So that may be just a consideration for you to kind of go back and think about.
But not only that, adding to that is, I know all of us cannot volunteer. There are a lot of things that goes on in the classroom, in the school, that you can volunteer for and be there, you know, a variety of things. And I realize what people that working cannot do, just like when they read across America, you volunteer to go in to read, or when they having test time, volunteer to go be a proctor and different things like that. It's, you know, a lot of feedback, and you still could see and be part of the learning activity that's going on. And I love when they have Samaritan Feet come in, and I see the children get their shoes on. So I wouldn't miss it for the world. I go right on in, and we have a good time. But,
Any other comments? Nope. Okay. That concludes that. So at this point, I am going to ask for a motion to adjourn open session and enter executive session following a 10-minute recess.
Madam Chair,
And we will be, hang on a second, and we will be meeting in here. Now,
Madam Chair, I make a motion, we go into executive session.
do I have a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you. I have, it's been moved by Mr. Hutchinson and seconded by Ms. Reed. Any discussion? Then all those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Motion carries 7-0.